This is Zhenjiang vinegar, aka Chinkiang vinegar. It's probably the most famous Chinese vinegar in the West, but this guy is far from the only Chinese dark aged vinegar and probably not even the most common. In addition to Zhenjiang vinegar, there's Chencu vinegar from Shanxi province in the north, Baoning vinegar from Sichuan province, and Yongchun vinegar from Fujiang province. Together, these four consist of the big four famous vinegar in China. They each have their own uniqueness, which we'll talk about in just a sec. But before you get all obsessive and trying to hunt down every single bottle of these vinegars, we should note that these vinegars, in many recipes, they would be able to work as direct subs for each other. That's why we often call for dark Chinese vinegars in our less vinegar-intense recipes. So in this video, we'll talk about these vinegars and taste them all and see how far we can push the boundary when it comes to subbing it with each other, and also include balsamic, the most common aged Western vinegar, in the context of interchangeable application within Chinese cooking. So let's start our discussion with the vinegar that you probably already know, Zhenjiang vinegar. True to its name, Zhenjiang vinegar is from the city Zhenjiang, which is across the river from Yangzhou, the fried rice Yangzhou, in Jiangsu province. It uses sticky rice to make an alcoholic rice base. And then that rice wine base is combined with mixed grains to further ferment into vinegar. Zhenjiang vinegar itself is quite mild with a hint of aroma and some light sweetness. It's often mixed with julienne ginger as a dip for xiaolongbao soup dumplings, freshwater crab, or xiaorou aspic. And it is the go-to vinegar for seasoning Huayang style 酸辣汤 hot and sour soup, or 糖醋小排 sweet and sour ribs. Moving on, this is Chencu from Shanxi province, and it's probably the second most famous Chinese dark vinegar in the West. Originating in the non-rice growing north, Chencu distinctively uses sorghum as its main grain base, plus a mix of peas, corns, and wheat bran as its microbe incubator. And interestingly, towards the end of its acid fermentation, the grain base will go through a smoking process in order to increase its temperature to achieve the optimal flavor. This step is unique to Chenchu production and also gives that slight hint of smokiness in the vinegar itself. So Chencu is often used dipping and seasoning for northern-style dumplings, noodles, and various dishes. And according to some vinegar-loving Shanxi people, you can even drink it directly as a healthy drink. Next up on our Big Four vinegar journey, the vinegar for Sichuan cuisine, Baoning vinegar from the town Baoning in Sichuan province. Originated from the area around the north-south climate division, Baoning vinegar uses a mix of grains that includes rice, wheat, barley, etc. And it also utilizes a characteristic medicinal herb mixture in its microbe incubating base. So Baoning vinegar is the go-to vinegar to use when it comes to vinegar-heavy Sichuan dishes, like Yuxiang fish fragrance, liangban cold salads, or the much-beloved 酸辣粉 spicy and sour glass noodle soup. So the above three, namely Zhenjiang, Chencu, and Baoning vinegar, are made with solid-state fermentation. In Chinese vinegar making, that means you start with a cooked grain base, and then you mix it with the microbe starter to create alcohol. And then you will mix that alcoholic base with another mixed grain base that's full of active acidic acid bacteria to start the acid fermentation. When the acidic fermentation is at its optimal level, the grain base will be rinsed with water several times in order to extract the vinegar substance. And this extracted liquid will then begin its final aging process from 6 months to up to several decades before bottling and going to the market. Now, in contrast of the above three vinegar that's made from solid state fermentation, our fourth one here, Yongchun vinegar from Fujiang province, it's made with a liquid state fermentation, aka submerged fermentation. Originating from the rice growing south, Yongchun vinegar will use sticky rice as main grain base and hongchu, red yeast rice, a characteristic ingredients in Fujian region, to make that unique red sweet rice wine as its liquid base for vinegar fermentation, in which the red rice wine will be combined in proportion with already aged vinegar to start a new round of fermenting and aging process from 6 months to up to 50 years. Also different from other Chinese dark vinegars, toasted black sesame seeds are also added to the vinegar during its fermentation and aging process to create a unique flavor of Yongchun vinegar itself. So being a signature vinegar from Fujian province, Yongchun vinegar is often seen in many classic Fujian dishes like its namesake dish, 醋肉, vinegar pork. And coming from a region that's abundant with seafood, Yongchun vinegar is also considered a great dip for eating seafood as it cuts any fishiness and accentuates the umami taste. Now, just like Yongchun vinegar, balsamic is also made with the submerged fermentation technique, though obviously a fruit base instead of sticky rice. In the vinegar themselves, the sweetness in balsamic is really reminiscent of Yongchun vinegar, so we would say that balsamic could work as a direct sub for Fujian vinegar. That said, if you are using it in something that got obviously a less sweet taste, like a spicy Sichuan mixed noodles, balsamic will still work, although the sweetness it gives to the dish end up being quite noticeable. So while it can work in a pinch, we would suggest you cutting back the sugar quantity if you do end up going that route. Also, the substitution will also work in the other direction because a Zhenjiang or Yongchun vinaigrette would also be very tasty. So in front of us, there are 10 bottles of vinegars, 5 aged, 5 non-aged, both from China and the West. And we will use dumplings as our base tasting vessel to see how tasty they are and how similar or not similar they are from each other. First one, Zhenjiang vinegar. Okay. Let's see. It's not too sour, kind of mild, and then as in its name, fragrant vinegar, 香醋. It does get a nice fragrance, works great with dumplings. Maybe don't drink it directly. Next up, Chencu mature vinegar from Shanxi province. Right, it should be the vinegar for dumplings. Of course, it's gotta be good. It's slightly more savory than xiangcu and slightly sharper, but also got a very, very like smokiness taste in it. It works really good, great in like with dumplings. Don't know how people in Shanxi is drinking this. My friend from Shanxi is saying that like small group of people drinks it. No. It's okay. All right. Next up, Baoning too. This may be my personal favorite. Oops. So let's see how it works on dumplings. It's also really good. Slightly milder than Chencu. I would say it's almost like closer to Chencu than it's closer to Zhenjiang Chenkiang vinegars. but nonetheless, great vinegar too. Why not? This is the mellowest to drink directly so far. The acidity is very soothing, almost. Or you can say thinner. Okay, Yongchun vinegar. How to say? It's also really good with dips. But I think it will probably work a little bit better in the context of like Fujiang food where they have like a lighter taste, heavier on sweetness when it comes to their dishes. It's alright, already drank 3. Okay, balsamic, which is supposed to be pretty similar to Yongchun. Okay, dumpling. Test. First time dipping balsamic with dumplings actually tastes really good. You wanna give it a go?
Oh yeah, that does work as a dip.
Yeah. So surprisingly, balsamic works like great as a dumpling dip. That thickness of it, and then that kind of a little bit more obvious sweetness balances the taste really well. Would definitely recommend using it in the dipping context too. So we tasted our 5 aged vinegars. They are all amazing, tasty, works great with dumplings. More similar than they are different. So we do think that they can work interchangeably in, especially in cooking, less vinegar forwarded intense dishes. And now let's move on to the non-aged ones. And for the non-dark aged vinegars, here we're doing something that Chris insists that I do, and I really don't want to do, which is Heinz white vinegar as a baseline. Let's see. Not that bad. The sourness does cut that some of the richness that some dumplings have. Definitely got a kick to it. All right. Next, some kind of falls in the same category in Chinese vinegar as like white vinegar by two, although this is not white. This is pure rice vinegar, but it's not really aged. It's like used widely in cookings actually. Supposed to have a pretty good taste. We got this from Zhejiang, which they have a dish of braising a whole chopped chicken in like pure vinegar. So this rice vinegar is definitely milder, less sour than the Heinz white. Also more obviously savory, so I see why it can work in many dishes and braising whole chicken in it. Next we have malt. Actually, my first time tasting malt vinegar, probably. Smells sharp, quick taste. Kind of mild, a little bit similar to the Chinese rice vinegar. It works. It's also pretty good, which I guess it makes sense because it's the national dip for fish and chips in UK, right? Okay. Next up is 浙醋, the red rice vinegar. It's red traditionally because of the yeast that it uses. It's also used some red yeast rice, I believe, but not very intense. Nowadays, it's coloring. Yeah, 浙醋, of course, is gonna work with dipping dumplings because nowadays it's like the go-to vinegar that you will find at wonton noodle shops in Guangdong. And yeah, it works great as a dipping. So in our last non-aged vinegar, we have something called like tiancu sweet vinegar. It's a Cantonese thing, and I know that it looks like dark aged vinegar, but it's not. It's heavily seasoned with sugar, and it's used in some specific dishes like the sweet and sour pig trotter and egg stew that's meant for women that after giving birth, which is also a great snack. So when getting it, don't just like grab anything that's like dark. Make sure you read the labels and don't get the Cantonese like tiancu sweet vinegar for your dark vinegar usage. Right. Almost tastes like a syrup, but that's what it's meant for. On the ingredient list, the first thing is water, second thing it's white granulated sugar. So it's actually a very heavily sugary based seasoned vinegar. So yeah, don't mistake it. Also doesn't really work as a dip because it's way too sweet. So yeah, to sum up, they are all amazing and unique vinegars in their own way. But being vinegars themselves, there's always more similarities than difference in terms of applications in cooking and seasoning. So when trying to sub one with another, just keep in mind the taste that you are going for and adjust accordingly. And then I think you'll be able to make some pretty tasty food with quality vinegar. So have fun playing. So yeah, we are back and we are filming at our friend's place right now. Thank you for all your good wishes during our move, and thank you our patrons for all this great support during this time. And of course, at the end, don't forget to subscribe for more Chinese cooking videos.